And Transformers96 here is another video review. This time we have the Marvel Legends from the Onslaught Build-A-Figure wave, Whirlwind. So the packaging, very nice, as you can see. Good picture of Whirlwind on this side, and on the other side is the person that he shares the packaging with, Cottonmouth. Nice image of the two of them on the back, as well as a brief description that describes them both in basically one sentence. And then the other figures in the wave, I did pick them up I did pick all of them up and have completed the Onslaught or Red Skull Onslaught Build-A-Figure. So very cool. Going on to the figure here, let's just start right off. Figure is quite interesting. He does have some new pieces. He also has other pieces that are completely reused. However, it is quite an interesting character design that they have chosen. The head sculpt is very nice. I definitely like that dome head. Not a ton going on there, but it is unique. And you know, when you get a lot of figures that are use a lot of the similar and same parts, it is nice to get unique things about him. So I do like this head sculpt a lot. They went with a nice shade of green. I like the shade of green that they chose with this guy. Although I don't like the fact that it's slightly different throughout him. He has more of a flat pearlesque type of green from this waist up, and then he has like just a flatter green for the wrists that slightly more resembles this type of green, and then he has a much darker, shinier green for the trousers, or just, you know, the underwear section, and then the boots. So, you know, I'm not a super big fan that they mixed up the green coloring that much. I would have preferred them to just go with that different style of coloring for the head and the torso to make it look more like the armor, and then more of the clothing places I would have done in this, you know, shinier green. That would look a little bit more organized rather than just the top has one shade of green and the bottom has a different one. I love the silver that they went with, or, you know, I like the shade of it. Basically, it's very nice. It's like a dark silver or a dark gray. It does have that kind of whoosh effect through it. It does have that like somewhat of a pearlesque type of look. Let's see if it's gonna focus on it. You can see through the kind of the swirl of the paint, which is a really interesting look, and they use some of it on Taskmaster as well from this wave, and it does look quite cool. I like the veins, or you know what? I can't tell. You know, I can't tell if this is supposed to be a vein or if that's just kind of like a swirl in the paint. I think it's supposed to be a vein, though. It does look very cool either way, because it does actually look like a vein. Whether they meant it to be or not, it looks like it, so that's very nice. The things I don't like about this figure are mainly due to the blades. The blades they're very small and everything. I'm not a big fan of this, and this is not Hasbro's fault. It's more of just his character has these small little blades, which they don't look very, aggressive. Basically, they look super subdued, which just makes him look a little bit ridiculous. Actually, I would have liked this to be bigger, but you know, I'm sure that they've went with a completely classic Whirlwind here, so that's why they have chosen to go with those smaller blades that he has. They're smaller saws. They are removable. They're just basically on a peg, so they can spin too if you wanted them to. And yeah, the hands, they're like in the holding position, which I hate. I don't think it matches it at all. I would have much preferred him just to have fists. I think that would have looked a lot better, especially in poses with him using the blades, to actually have a fist like he's, you know, throwing his arm to cut somebody, or to have him completely open. Just some expression. I hate when they just do open hands, or hands that are meant for holding something, when the figure shouldn't have anything to hold and doesn't come with anything to hold. It kind of seems ridiculous to me. Also, the character's power is it's much like the Tasmanian Devil, where he does actually spin and create like a whirlwind, you know, an actual, like a mini tornado, you know, at the bottom here. So I feel like just getting a figure without any sort of accessory to be able to convey that just feels really lackluster. Super disappointing, really. You know, obviously, I don't expect them to come with an accessory of like a big whirlwind section for his legs or anything, because that's just too much plastic than what they usually do, and you know, it's definitely going overboard on their part. However, I just feel like without it, this figure feels extremely plain and just not that interesting, which is a big shame. So I would have liked to see him come with some accessory like that, or just for them not to make him, because if you're not going to do the character to convey his power at all, I find it extremely just uninteresting. You know, there's really not much that you can do with him other than, you know, putting him in those standard running poses with his arms out, you know, like with the saws, but without that, without any sort of base or accessory or just anything to convey that he, you know, spins really fast. There's just, you can't do that based on a pose. So nothing too special here, and quite a lackluster figure in my opinion, just for that basically. Articulation is pretty decent, standard Marvel Legends. You can look down slightly, look up slightly, side to side, tilted slightly. The head articulation is extremely hindered just because of the dome shape of his head. So, but he has the right joint. It's just the shape of the helmet that restricts his head. He has ball hinge shoulders with a bicep swivel, double hinge elbows with hinge swivel wrist. He's got an ab crunch that goes down a bit and goes back quite far. Swivel waist, ball jointed hips that move out extremely far. Really happy about that. These are solid ball jointed hips. You've got a swivel thighs, double hinge knees, swivel at the boot, and then hinge pivoting ankles. Pivot work quite nice. Comparing him to the 3 3/4 inch version that came out quite recently, and you know, I still actually have it in package. I meant to open it. It's just the same thing with this guy. I have the same problem with this guy that I have with this guy, is the fact that he doesn't come with any accessory, which makes him very, you know, it makes him uninteresting, which is why I didn't even open him. However, they went with a different design on him, obviously giving him an extremely bright metallic green for the armor section, and then a very bright metallic silver for the body, which I think looks really cool. I mean, comparing them, this one, oops. The 3 3/4 inch one obviously looks more cheesy because the colors are so much brighter and so much crazier. However, they're quite eye-catching, so I would probably prefer this just based on the eye-catchingness of it and the interest that it causes. It makes a character and a figure that is uninteresting interesting, just because of how nice the paint is, really. So I would have preferred them to go with something extremely bright like this. However, I understand why they didn't do it. But one thing that I do definitely like a little better on the 3 3/4 inch version is that they sculpted his armor, his torso armor, these pieces here, they actually sculpted them, and they sculpted them much bulkier than his actual body, which gives him a much bulkier look up top, as well as it's just nice to get those extra pieces to go on, and it makes him look a little bit more interesting. So there you go, that's my video review of the Marvel Legends from the Onslaught Build-A-Figure Wave Whirlwind. Decent figure, nothing that they did specifically wrong on him, just if you're not going to do the character justice in a figure, there's no reason to make them. So I would have preferred them just to pick a different character that doesn't require some larger accessory to really convey their power. So, but that's just a personal preference basically. I doubt anybody's going to get this and just lose their mind over it and absolutely love this figure. I think that everybody's going to get it and they're just going to be okay with it, you know. So because of that, I would have chose a different character to make if I was Hasbro. But solid figure anyway, and that's my review of Whirlwind. Thanks so much for watching.